This is the talk show that takes a no-holds-barred approach to politics, where truth and integrity are the standard and the Constitution honored. From Renaissance Studios, this is Champion News Talk Radio.
And welcome to another edition of Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net, where you can get all of the latest political news. This is Carol Parisi with our founder, Jack Roeser of Champion News. And today on our show, we have Rick Newton from Tri-Counties. And gentlemen, this is Memorial Day weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I was a soldier, so I'm glad to see people taking some recognition. Long ago in 1942, I enlisted in the Army because I thought it when I was 19, because it's what a guy should do. Not that I did anything that brave in my whole 3 years in the Army, because I didn't. But today we've got a volunteer Army. These guys volunteered in. They all enlisted on their own. And men and women, and I think we have a marvelous Army out there, of really beautiful, patriotic people that are doing things for the right reasons, and we should really respect them. And certainly the politicians in America should realize that our Army's fighting for us, and we have another Army out there, and that's the Tea Party, of so many people. All through the state that recognize what in the heck it's all about to be a real American. And so Memorial Day is for the soldiers that served, some that gave their lives, and they're also for the troops over there that are risking their butts in real combat with a nasty, hiding enemy. It takes a lot of guts to do that. And we're all here to say we appreciate that.
Yes. We appreciate them and their families for their dedicated and honorable service.
I wish the politicians recognized that the reason the Tea Party is there is because they're real Americans.
Yes.
And the freedom and responsibility that goes with being just one American is what makes America great. These politicians that are trying to turn us into some kind of socialism don't recognize, they don't give real count to the fact that this whole bunch of people here in America, they're all voting with their feet to come here because we have this wonderful freedom and responsibility thing that's so American that we were given as our birthright. Yes. And that our politicians seem to think that they're our new daddy, that the federal government is going to take care of us. I put a lot more confidence in my family.
Yes. And Rick, what do you have to say about this patriotic, this grassroots, this Tea Party 9/12 movement?
I think, to Jack's point, I think there's some real irony in the fact that we are, as a movement, viewed as something countercultural, something not very patriotic, when in fact that's exactly what we are. I think, also to Jack's point, certainly we pale in comparison to people in the service who have literally given their lives, to defend this country. Many in the Tea Party movement cannot make that claim, but everybody does their part in a different way. They find their way to bring whatever commitment, beliefs, and values that they share to the fore, and that is really what the Tea Party is about.
What got you involved, Rick, with the Tea Party
I was angry.
movement?
I was angry. I've been writing a daily blog since 2006 on conservative issues, and it never really set me off until the election of 2008. And I just scratched my head. I could not for the life of me figure out what happened. And I eventually turned to the Republican Party, wondering how could they have gone so far astray. And it took one meeting, going to a township level meeting, to figure out what was wrong. A lot of what was wrong with the party. But in doing so, that was February of 2009. And that's really when the movement got started. And
Rick Santelli's rant.
exactly.
February,
exactly.
I think 27th, or I'm
February
sorry,
27th.
February 19th, and the 27th, I think there was a
Downtown.
Yep. So you were angry, but now is the anger is that what's sustaining you, or has your anger kind of subsided, and the realism of you having to actually step out of the boat and do something about?
Yeah, the anger was probably a good mix of anger and curiosity. And that quickly was transformed into something that really allowed Americans to find a way to play out the values that they believed in, values that had been forgotten, belief systems that were laughed at, scorned at. And so what I found most satisfying about that February 27th event is the fact that you recognize that there were other people out there that shared those feelings. And it wasn't a great number. It's probably, I'm guessing, 200 to 300 people that were downtown Chicago that day. It was raw, typical Chicago February day. But to see other people, behaving very respectfully, and yet with a lot of concern was very rewarding. And within just, what was it, 6 weeks later, when they had the first
April
tax day,
15th, yeah.
first tax day event, it became something much larger.
That was
and
huge.
Across the country.
Across the country. I actually took my son out of school that April 15th.
Really?
And brought him downtown to honor his First Amendment right with Constitution in hand. But yes, many have died and served so we can have these rights. And we have to remember that these are rights that our founding fathers had bestowed upon us in the Constitution.
Where did those rights come from? What politician was it? It wasn't King George, I know.
Well,
which politician gave us those rights?
Are endowed to us by our Creator, who is God Almighty.
Not a politician?
Nope. Not the last time I looked.
I mean, Obama or his predecessor isn't the author of...
He would like to believe so, I think, but I don't think he passes muster for that. But Rick, we started with the beginning of all this. What is your group doing? What have you done? What are you planning to do? And we could break it down in little bitty segments, but currently what are you doing right now as an organization?
Okay, well, I think when we started, our group...
What's the name of your organization again? I was slow.
It's the Tri-Counties.
Tri-Counties.
Yeah,
which are the three counties?
Kane, DuPage, and Cook. We're located in Bartlett. That's where we're centered, and so we're right where the three counties come together. And we don't pretend to represent all three counties. It's kind of a clever way of describing, where we're located. But when we formed a little over a year ago for that first year. So after that 2009 event, I found myself, just thirsting for any group that was getting together. And there were some early Tea Party groups that had formed, and being a part of those, finally I decided that we need something in the area. There's got to be people. It can't be just unique to, other certain areas that had formed their own groups. And we started out like a lot of groups, really trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do with this passion that we have and all the energy. And a lot of it was really helping some people get comfortable with the fact that, no, you're not different. You are mainstream. And, because you don't hear about it in the media to give you that feedback that says that you're okay, because we're all with you.
You're not alone.
That doesn't mean that you're alone. And so we spent a lot of time in the first year bringing in a variety of speakers. And that was good. I think it was healthy. But I think the thing that what we were really missing was that we were not seeing people make that transition from their passion and reason for being to actually doing something about it.
To activism.
To true activism.
To take the education that they're embracing to actually turn it into results in the political process.
We're facing an election coming up, and so what you raise is a very important point. How do we organize to make this into some political power? Got to think about it. Illinois has got the reputation as being the most corrupt state in the union. Certainly Chicago has added tremendously to that. So many of our politicians that are there or have recently arrived have been part of a bunch of nasty politics for sure. I'm not accusing them of being felons exactly, but we sure had enough felons. Fitzgerald, the U.S. attorney, has sent about 400 of these creeps from both parties off to jail. He's a real hero. He's cleaned out a lot of the big weeds, but there's sure plenty left that are the authors of this immense mess we've got of being so far in debt and with so many problems facing us now. None worse than the education system, where our kids go. It's really a bad thing that these rascals that fill government buildings up in Wisconsin are teaching kids.
You know what? We're going to discuss when we come back from the break. You asked a great and compelling question, Jack, and it's how do we organize for the upcoming election after the break?